On the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletic teams and administration each week. Presented by Gamebridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Cardinals fans, welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports. This is episode 35 as we begin the month of May. We're sitting down with Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell to start off our podcast. Jeff, appreciate you as always jumping on, and May has finally arrived. Commencement's in the books. A lot of good things happening as we look forward to the summer.
Yeah, Mick, thanks for having me. A lot of good things happening. Commencement weekend was fantastic. We had 71 student-athletes graduate over the weekend, both undergrad and at the graduate level. So very excited for them. Always a great day. And the pinnacle of the student-athletes experience here at Ball State is walking across the stage and earning a diploma.
It's always cool to see all the different sports represented. I think we had all 19 of our athletic programs walk across the stage this weekend.
We did. And again, just a testament to those student athletes for putting in the time and effort, the work that it takes to not only be successful as a student athlete, but earning a degree is really special. And we want our student athletes to have a chance to win championships. And we give them a quality experience, and one that I think they'll reflect on fondly, and hopefully that they will continue to cherish those memories as their life is in front of them right now as they begin a professional career in some capacity.
You said the word special. That's what Francys King was in her appearance against Central Michigan on the road. A perfect game for Ball State softball, second ever in program history. In a series that Ball State had to have, she came up in the biggest of moments.
Well, it was a huge series, and Francys took the circle in the second game of that series after having dropped the first game, right? So we were down to the final two conference games, had to win them both to qualify for the conference championship. And you get in those moments and you want somebody to step up. And sure enough, it was senior Francys King who did that and more. And I was tracking the game as it was being played, and I kept seeing it, right? I mean, you can't, and you try not to even think about it because you could see what was happening, and you just kind of would dismiss the thought. And she just kept retiring batter after batter after batter, and the defense played well. She was brilliant in the circle, and ended up with a run rule win, 8-0 in 5 innings, and then that carried the momentum into Sunday. So you split the doubleheader on Saturday, momentum on your side. And what was remarkable is that she started the game on Sunday and immediately retired the first 3 batters she faced on Sunday. And that set the momentum, and we scored early and kept the pressure on and ended up winning the game on Sunday and now qualify for the conference tournament. So tip of the visor to Francys King and Ball State softball. Really excited for that program under the leadership of Helen Pena. That staff has done a remarkable job this year to put those young ladies in a situation to compete for a conference championship and playing their best softball, arguably, of the year at the end of the year when it matters the most.
We talked about how Francys came up clutch with that perfect game. Just overall, the team being able to take 2 of 3 in a series they had to have to make that conference championship. The ability for them to continue to fight throughout the year and their resilience, we've used that word a couple of times, but they did what they had to do. How does that set the tone for a first-year head coach to be able to take their team, go in a weekend like that, win it, and go have a chance for the title?
Well, I think what Helen has realized is that the character of the softball team is very high. It was something that I recognized a year ago when I first got here, something that I saw through the transition of coaches as Coach Schur left to go to Pittsburgh at the end of the season. They were a connected group and were competitive. And so when Coach Pena came on board, I told her that I think you've got a team that is going to be super competitive. They're going to fight. They're going to be resilient, to use that word. They are going to give it their all, and I think they've done that all season long. And so I'm not surprised that they've made the conference tournament. It was certainly a goal of theirs, and they had to compete to get there. And so to be able to do it on the last game of the season to qualify for that conference tournament is pretty awesome for them.
On the baseball side of things, they are inching closer and closer toward the end of the season as well. Another big series win, took 2 of 3 against Northern Illinois. That last game, a lot of offense, took care of business when they needed to, but that team's won 5 straight series now, Jeff. They have 2 more regular season MAC series left as their season comes to a close here in the next couple of weeks on the regular season portion.
Yeah, credit to the resiliency of our baseball team. We started the conference season 1-7. And since then have gone 13-3. So to go from 1-7 to 14-10 to being really a game out of second place is pretty remarkable. So credit to Coach Maloney and that coaching staff and our talented players. I'm excited to watch them continue to play down the stretch. 2 series left, one at home against Central Michigan this weekend, and then on the road at Kent State to finish the regular season. There's a lot of competition for 2 through 6 in the MAC baseball standings as we go into the last couple of weeks of the year. Bowling Green continues to be in first place, and then there's a slew of teams right after that. And mathematically, a lot of those teams can catch each other and pass each other, and so there'll be a lot of race maneuvering to use. Maybe a race car analogy here in the month of May in Indianapolis. I'm doing the best I can do to get into with that culture, Mick.
I was going to say I'll give you points for trying and going down that road, but we're a couple weeks away from the Indy 500. But I like where you're going with that. I think it's really interesting too to look at the standings. We were doing this before we recorded the podcast of just who's where, like mathematically. Look at the percentages. Well, this team's played a whole nother series compared to this team in the MAC. I think it's so fun when you get to this portion of the season to look at that stuff. But at the end of the day, you see teams like Ball State who didn't have the best of starts. Then you saw Bowling Green who started the conference year 17-0, and Western Michigan took 2 or 3 from them. It's the portion of the season now where truly anything can happen, and you're at a point where the margin for error is so thin.
Yeah, the margin for error is razor thin, but we have to be able to control what we can, and I think that is a hallmark of our team. We know our strengths, we know what we need to do to win, and we just have to control what we can. And so as we go into these last couple of weekends, we're looking to win series. And everything else will take care of itself. We can't worry about other series that are happening where we're not a competitor. So those series are going to shake out the way they do, and we're going to compete in the series that we participate in. We'll see what happens, but we're obviously vying for a conference championship right now, and that is the foremost goal in the minds of our players and our coaches.
By the way, are you going to attend the Indy 500 this year? Are you going to see what the Indiana race scene is like?
I don't know. I'm sure it would be a thrill to see.
It would be. It would be. I will throw myself under the bus. Of all the time that I've spent here, I've still not been to the actual race. I've been to practice races, but I've never been to the actual race. So I'll throw myself under the bus there. Jeff, as we look forward to baseball, softball seasons coming to a close as well, track and field has the MACs coming up on the outdoor side of things. We've talked about it throughout the year, but this team is ready to go out there and do its thing. But this team has also made such big strides over the last couple of years. It's really fun to get to this point in the season and really see what they can do.
I think it's always fun to know that you've got a chance. And Adrian Wheatley and his staff have done a great job of building the program. They've had their fair share of success. And I think the young ladies that are competing in our conference meet coming up this weekend expect to win. And we look forward to watching them and cheering for them. But talking to Coach Wheatley, he's excited about the opportunity, and I think that we'll put forth a great effort.
Jeff, before we let you go here on the podcast, anything else you want to give for Ball State fans?
Well, just we've got 5 baseball games at home coming up, starting today as this podcast drops on Tuesday against Butler. Then the 3 games in the home series against Central Michigan this weekend, Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. And then we host Indiana State next Tuesday. And then we go on the road to play Kent State to end the season. So we've got 5 great opportunities to watch our baseball team play. The weather should be nice for baseball, and those games are also going to be streamed on ESPN Plus. So look forward to that as well. So a week of Cardinal baseball coming up. So I encourage our fans to come out to First Merchants Ballpark and watch Ball State baseball.
Check out ballstatesports.com for all the times of those games. Like Jeff mentioned, 5 more Ball State home games to go in the regular season. Well, Jeff, we appreciate you this week and every week here on This Week in Ball State Sports.
Mick, thanks so much. Go Cards.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. GameBridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at GameBridge.io.
Welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports, and we had an awesome performance. Ball State softball this past weekend won the series against Central Michigan. They got into the MAC tournament, and a perfect game thrown by Francys King, and we're joined by Francys. Francys, appreciate your time, and congratulations on a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we have to start with that, the perfect game. It's the second to last game of the season, Francys. It's backs against the wall time. You got to win these last 2 games to get in the tournament. How would you describe how you felt going into that game where you threw a perfect game?
Honestly, going into the game, all I really wanted was a win. Having a shutout was a bonus. Having a no-hitter was a bonus. And definitely having the perfect game was like the cherry on top. But honestly, going into it, we just wanted the win. We wanted to secure at least 1 win on like the day so we could come back the next day, get the second win, and go to tournament.
When you were warming up, did you feel anything special that day, or was it just, okay, we feel good, we're going to go?
If I'm being honest, when I was warming up, I did not feel good at all. I was having a bad warm-up. My body felt kind of wrong, but I kind of pushed through it. I was like, you know what, 1 pitch at a time. It all changes as soon as you get in the game, whether you have a good warm-up or a bad warm-up. It always changes. So I was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my best. Like, definitely not expecting to throw a perfect game for sure.
So you say didn't feel like you had your best stuff in the bullpen. You come back out. What happens in those moments where you feel like you weren't throwing the best bullpen, then you come out, like you said, everything changes, but what does change? Like, what clicks when you didn't feel good in the bullpen?
It's really just having that 1 pitch mindset, moving on to the next. Like, if that pitch didn't do what you needed to do, you go back and make sure the next one does. You hit a spot, you throw like to the batter, like you kind of control what you can control, and what you can't, you just kind of have to like let it be.
How would you describe the weekend overall? The team comes out and performs the way it did those last 2 games to get in the tournament.
Oh, it was definitely exciting. It was definitely one of those moments where it's like, you know what, this could be it for, 10 of us, but none of us wanted it to be it. We wanted to keep going. We did not want that to be our last moments. So the energy was just, keep playing, keep going, so that way we can keep going.
I think that's been kind of the mantra of this team, and talking with Coach Pena and all the players, you get that vibe that like, hey, we've been prepared for these types of moments basically all season long. How did you see the team really fit into that type of atmosphere and that chemistry of we can take this game in a winner take all?
Honestly, I think this weekend everything kind of clicked for us. The defense, the pitching, the hitting, and I think that like really helped us, to keep going. And it feels good when everything starts to like click together.
What makes this team ready to go in the tournament?
I think we're like, again, everything's clicking. We're finally that like emotional and mental standpoint where it's like, okay, we're ready. We can do this. Like, we know what it takes, and we've seen that we can do it, as we just need to keep doing it, honestly.
What has been your favorite part of the team this year?
Honestly, as cliche as it sounds, it's my teammates. I transferred in here last year, so this is only my second year with everybody. So like last year was kind of like building the foundations, and like this year, like just genuinely enjoying each person, and kind of bittersweet that like this will be my last time playing with anybody. So like having those days where it's so easy to be around them.
You mentioned this being your second year in the Cardinal and White. What's it meant to you to wear that uniform?
It's been so special. I've gone through so much in my softball career, and to finally find like a home at Ball State, like everything just kind of came together, and you know, everything happens for a reason. I think everything I've gone through before has made me appreciate Ball State so much more, from like my teammates to coaches to the school itself. Like I know this is where I'm supposed to be, and this is where I'm supposed to finish my career. You
mentioned that journey, a winding journey. How would you describe it overall?
Oh gosh, it's like a roller coaster doesn't even describe the highs and the lows that I've gone through. I don't know if anybody really knows this, but this is my 4th coaching staff in 4 years. I've gone through different teams, different teammates, different coaches, and you know, I wouldn't have traded it for anything better. It made me a better player. It made me a stronger leader. So I'm thankful for everything I've gone through.
How did this coaching staff embrace you as a pitcher, as a student athlete?
Me and Coach Pena had conversations when she first joined the program, and we kind of talked about like what my role would be, being a senior pitcher and being one of the people with the most experience in the bullpen. And we kind of talked that I'm definitely more of a lead by example kind of person. I've kind of leaned into that this year of, you know, this is the standard that we set, and you don't have to perform to that standard, but you have to hold yourself to that standard. And I've leaned into that a lot this year.
Why is that maybe a little bit different than in past years from a mindset standpoint?
I think it's definitely just come with experience. Like, I don't really have as much nerves as I definitely did when I was younger of like, oh my gosh, I have to perform this way, otherwise people like won't look up to me. It's definitely just been, I go out, I do my best, and if I don't do well, I shake it off, and the next time I will. And I think that's a mentality that is important for a player, but especially for a pitcher, because we do get a lot of opportunities. You get an opportunity every single pitch. And I think it's important to have the mentality of you can move on. You have like the next season, you have the next whatever, and just kind of embracing that.
What have you learned most about yourself this year?
I would say that I have a lot more confidence this year, and I've definitely like learned like how I perform with that confidence. I've always been a fake it till you make it person. But this year, like, I don't feel like I have to fake it as much. I feel like I have that composure. I have, like, that presence that, like, exudes confidence. And, like, I actually am starting to believe it. And I've learned that, you know what, I deserve to feel that way.
What are some things that you have noticed about your teammates that have helped make you better, too? And then vice versa, how have you helped make your teammates better, too?
Definitely for them, like, they believe in me so much more than I kind of believed in myself in the beginning. Because, again, only being here 2 years. Last year, we were still learning. They were learning how I pitch. I was learning them. So this year, like, they know how I throw. They know how I am as a pitcher. And they believe in me. They believe in how successful I could be. And for me, learning about them is also just how much, like, we believe in each other and how much we trust each other. Like, it's so much different to play and be able to, like, trust my defense, trust my hitters and everything. And we're all just so comfortable around each other to do that.
So a lot of players came back this year from the team from a season ago, but with the new coaching staff, how does everybody in that sense mesh together and do all those things that you just mentioned and have success to get into the postseason tournament like that?
Coming together and then like having a new coaching staff, we kind of like had talks like preseason of trusting each other. Like, again, this is almost the exact same team as last year. And so no matter what changes, we're still the same. And we kind of have to, again, like lean into that togetherness and learn how like each coach kind of fits into that with us.
Got to go back to something we touched on near the start of it. And you talked about you were one of the seniors. You know, this is a chance for you to go out on top. But against Central Michigan, they honored some of the Ball State seniors. How cool was it from an opponent's perspective to be celebrated by a team that's not Ball State to show that appreciation for their MAC school?
Oh my gosh, Central Michigan, like they were so nice to us from the very start. The coaches, the players, the field crew, like they were so nice to us, made us feel so welcomed. And honestly, it made us feel very celebrated. And I think they have just as many seniors as we did. So for it to kind of like match up and like we felt very appreciated in that. And I'm very thankful that they gave us that experience.
And then you went out and threw a perfect game against them. so here's the appreciation. Francis, when you look at the overall body of work from this team this year, what would you say has been the biggest growth point throughout the year?
I think our biggest growth point is trusting ourselves. Like, we've definitely had moments in all aspects of the game where it's like, oh, like we're playing so tense because like we don't know if we can do it, whether that's pitching, fielding, or hitting. And again, like if we can trust each other, we can definitely like trust ourselves to perform. And I think we need to know that we can do this and have that mentality going into this week of we need to trust each other and definitely trust ourselves to do this.
So you mentioned the journey. You mentioned second year in a Ball State uniform. Why'd you choose Ball State?
So while I was in the transfer portal, I was doing a lot of different visits and talking like with different coaches, and I didn't realize how important it was. Previously, I was in Tennessee, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to be a little closer to home because I didn't realize how important it was to have my family. My family has come to every single game. They have not missed anything. So that's been extremely important to me, and I think it's helped me become a better player, like knowing that they're in the stands. And then also like coming to the school, like I felt at home here. I felt so impressed with the facilities that we have, the opportunities we have at Ball State. I'm also currently getting my master's in business administration, which is a major degree here from Ball State. We're nationally ranked for that. So all of it kind of just clicked, and I was like, you know what, this is where I'm supposed to be.
What do you hope to do with that degree?
Eventually, I want to open my own sports training facility, and I want to manage that. So that'll be eventually. But I'm thinking after I graduate, kind of going into sports management, sports operations with that. So yeah.
Off the field, within that framework, how have you seen Ball State embrace you as a student to be able to do all of that stuff that you want to be able to do?
Definitely all of the support staff that we have at Ball State. We have so many different people that are willing to support us, and like I've seen so many different options of what I can choose to go into, whether that's again the operations, the management, coaching. Like seeing how all those people work at Ball State gives me the opportunity of like, hey, do I want to look into that? Mm-hmm. So I've definitely felt very supported in that, and I just know like with the education I've gotten here that I feel like I could pretty much choose like what I want to focus on and kind of like lean if I want to go more business side or more sports side. I feel like I can do both.
Well, Francis, before we let you go, is there anything you want to say to fans, family members, community members here in Muncie on the podcast?
I want to tell my parents thank you, and I want to tell my dad that I pitched good. I threw it good, as he would say. I want to thank my teammates for welcoming me in here and like making me, like I wouldn't have been able to throw a perfect game without them, and they definitely made it easier for me to throw in 5 innings versus the full 7, so I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for my coaches. Me and Coach Pena talked before the game about how like this is my game to kind of win. I want to again lead out there. Like this was kind of a must win. I want to thank Ball State obviously for accepting me here and letting me be a student athlete. And again, just all my family, friends, past teammates as well, because again, it's a journey to get here.
Congratulations on all of your successes and best of luck in the MAC tournament. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gamebridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.